Hey guys, so this is going to be another one of these quick, more candid videos, just giving you my thoughts on what the market's looking like, what it's likely to do today and over the next couple days, and really just give you my thoughts surrounding the Omicron variant, anything that's updated, and all the new developments over the last few days. So the first thing I thought I'd bring up was that Bill Ackman actually came out with a tweet, and I know that Bill Ackman is not always the most reputable person. I know he had that whole hell is coming scandal where he pushed the idea that the coronavirus would destroy all the markets and that we would never recover, and he secretly had some really big short positions that he cashed out, and then he bought into the market at the bottom and made loads of money at a lot of retail investors' expense. So I know he isn't someone we should trust outright, but he does have some great insights into the market, and we should definitely listen to what he has to say and then consider whether or not he may have biases or hidden ideas and plays behind the scenes afterwards. So what did he say? Well, he basically said that the Omicron variant may actually be bullish for markets, and there are a couple reasons why. While it is too easy to have definitive data, early reported data suggests that the Omicron virus causes mild to moderate symptoms or less severity and is more transmissible. If this turns out to be true, this is bullish, not bearish for markets. So the basic idea here, and the one that I think Bill Ackman is trying to explain, is that if this virus spreads more, it might impact each of us a little bit less, like the common cold, while maybe even providing some added immunity against the rest of the variants for COVID, and that could be really bullish for markets. If you compare a disease like SARS to COVID, one of the reasons COVID has become so endemic in the world is because it doesn't impact a lot of people. They go about their daily lives without even feeling bad at all, and so they spread it onto other people. A virus with less severe symptoms, where most people don't even get sick or maybe hardly feel ill at all, well, they're more likely to go out and continue to spread it, which might seem like a bad thing at first, and it would show up on case numbers. But it might reduce the number of people in hospitals or dying of COVID, and it could actually provide some level of immunity against other variants of the virus, like the original COVID virus or the Delta variant, for example. I've also seen a few people talking about lockdown stocks and the idea that there may be some stocks to buy right now which will benefit if there is a lockdown. We saw this in 2020, a huge amount with companies like Zoom and Peloton, but to be perfectly honest, I just personally don't think that the US is going to go back into a lockdown, so I'm personally not betting on this. But that doesn't mean that this is a stupid idea. If you think that, the world's about to go back into lockdowns, or we're going to have curfews and all sorts of things like that, then maybe it does make sense for you to buy Peloton, Zoom, Shopify, Amazon, companies like that. But that's just not the strategy that I'm looking at today. And the reason that's not really the strategy that I'm thinking about and I'm putting into action is because for me, Omicron and this new variant is basically a non-factor to me at the moment. Government reactions, on the other hand, are definitely a factor, but I think by and large we will be able to relatively accurately predict what governments are going to do, which governments will go furthest, and which governments won't implement any type of restrictions at all, because we've now had 18 months, almost 2 years of precedent of looking at how each government has reacted to base our opinions on how they might react in the future. In general though, lockdowns hurt the economy far more than the virus itself. Now, last time I said this, I offended quite a few people, and I'm not really sure why, because a lot of people felt that I was completely anti trying to prevent spread of the virus, and that just isn't the case. I just think that there is a balancing act to be had, and that a lot of lockdowns actually hurt the economy far more than they benefit the populace, and we need to be aware of this fact and look at how it might impact things in the future. In the UK, for example, there are probably going to be 100,000 deaths over the next few years from people with cancer and heart disease who haven't got the treatment they deserve and they need to stop them from dying, because we shut down so many medical facilities during the lockdowns, and that just doesn't make any logical sense. So I do think it's worthwhile thinking about what might happen and recognizing that lockdowns aren't the be all and end all. They do often commit a lot of bad and harm to our populace, and we need to be aware of that. Just for some context now, the US market at the time of me making this video is closed. It is about 3 or 4 hours away from opening. The UK market is open and has mostly bounced upwards after dropping hard on Friday, just like the US market did. Basically, all markets actually dropped on Friday as news of this Omicron variant came out, and people worried that lockdowns were going to start up again and the economy was going to be hit. And the UK market was no different, but the UK market opens before the US market because time differences exist, and I think that the US is probably going to react in a similar way today. It's probably going to rise and erase the losses it made last Friday. The 10-year yield dropped as well with the market on Friday, but there's a good chance that it will rise as well with the markets as confidence returns, because we've got a little bit more data surrounding the Omicron variant. We are obviously also going to get some more information from people like Biden and the CDC over the coming days and weeks regarding this variant, and the more information we get, really the better, because then we can make more accurate predictions about what might happen and decide where we should best allocate our capital as a result of that. Now, funnily enough, people always say I'm bearish, but, well, I'm bullish today. I think the markets are probably going to pump a little bit. And it's actually very possible for me to be bullish over the next few months as a result of this Omicron variant as well. But it massively depends on what the government's actions are this week, and I'll explain that now. Say for a moment that the Omicron variant is more contagious and actually still impacts people and sends them to hospital and kills some people as well. Well, what we would likely end up seeing is a really large government response all over the world. Lockdowns would start up again, curfews would start, work from home mandates would be created, and the really bullish thing for the markets that would come from this would be a return to the finances of yesteryear. Quantitative easing would continue and probably even get bigger. The Fed would continue to make these huge multi-billion-dollar purchases every day of mortgage-backed securities and other assets, and this would pump the markets up. We would also see more stimulus checks or furlough money, or basically helicopter money, thrown out to the people of our countries to stimulate spending and keep them alive and happy and healthy while they're not working. We saw this over 2020, and the result was a massively inflated asset class, or all asset classes really. Stocks shot up, crypto shot up, housing shot up, basically every asset class shot up over the last year because there was just so much money flooding the system. And there's a good chance that we could return to this soon if the Omicron variant, or if even another variant in the future, gets stronger or more dangerous and the pandemic basically starts over. There's also a very light conspiracy theory going around that suggests that maybe the US government and other governments as well might lock down for other reasons that they may not tell us about. Now, it's no secret that inflation is really high, not only in the US, but in Europe and the UK and basically every developed country at the moment, and the governments in charge are starting to get a lot of flack. Biden, for example, has really low approval ratings, and a big part of that is likely due to rising costs of living and the impact that it's having on the people in America. There is an idea, or a theory I should say, circulating that suggests that the Biden administration, and other governments as well, might be inclined to lock down under the guise of a new virus, but maybe secretly to lower inflation. Now, the loose idea and justification behind this is that demand falls when we lock down. People don't go out to restaurants, they don't go to cinemas and watch films, they don't go out drinking with their mates, they just don't spend as much money in general, so demand falls. And as demand falls, well, prices usually fall with them, or at least stop rising at 6% a year, which would be great for inflation. So it makes a little bit of sense, at least, the idea that maybe a lockdown would reduce inflation, and so a government might be more inclined to lock down even if the threat from the variant, or the new threat, isn't actually as strong as they might have you believe. Funnily enough though, just because I might be bullish on asset classes in general over the next months, depending on government actions, I want to make that clear, I am still definitely in the belief that we are in a huge bubble. It's just trying to predict when that bubble will pop that is very, very difficult. And speaking of bubbles, the Omicron crypto, which has basically no utility, no real use, and until the other week was completely unheard of. This Omicron crypto is up 650%, as I just said. It's hugely speculative, and it's now worth over $400 million despite producing nothing and being absolutely a sign of nothing more than a bubble. I am firmly of the belief, I'm sure regular viewers will know, that you can argue with me about when this bubble might pop, and I can't say that you're categorically wrong and you can't say that I'm categorically wrong. But there is just no argument for the fact that we aren't in a bubble. Speculative assets are flying high and creating ridiculous levels of wealth, and it just doesn't make any sense. And Omicron crypto, up 650% and now worth $500 million, is a brilliant example of that. That's pretty much it for today. Just a quick video I thought I'd get out. In the meantime, I am back in my studio. As I'm sure you can see, I'm back from my holiday, so I should be back to putting out full-on scripted videos that I know you guys love in no time at all. As usual, thank you to the patrons of the channel. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do this. There are links down below in the description for our Patreon where you can join our community of investors. It's really growing into something brilliant, so make sure to check that out if you want to join the community and help support this channel. There's also links down below in the description to masterworks.io, a company that allows you to invest in fractional ownership of fine art, and BLOCKFI, a crypto earn platform that can give you 9% interest on stablecoins. Thanks for all the support recently. Thanks for watching. Stay stoic. Until next time.